camping with Duo and her dad Lester when she got a weird message on her phone.
Hey, Duo, listen to this message from my dad.
Hello, B. I went out for a quick hike. Still trying to get a photo of that mysterious creature. Wait, what was that? Who's there?
And that was hours ago.
I wonder what happened.
There's only one way to find out. Let's go find him.
Help B find her dad by earning stars.
Tap the words you hear. Get 10 words to get a star. The game ends when time runs out. Car. Started. Farmer. Party. Hard. Cargo. Starfish. Farmer. Partner. Hard. Cartoon. Started. Far. Time is up. You earned a star.
You got a free star.
Spell at least 5 words to earn a star. Shooting star. Race car. Jar of slime. Watch cartoons. Dog farts. Shark tooth. Birthday party. You earned a star.
Read.
Lily and Zari were on a video call. They were working on a project for science class. Working. Hi, Lily. It's me. Zari waved at Lily through her computer screen. Lily said something, but Zari could not hear her. I think you're on mute, Zari said. No, I'm not on mute. This is how I talk, Lily said. Lily never sounded excited. Zari and Lily each had a bucket of water and a few small items. They wanted to see if the things would sink or float. Do you have the first items to test? Lily asked. Zari held up an apple and a marble. Yep, here they are.
Zari and Lily will.
Their friend B had said she would help with the project. They were waiting for her to join the call before they began. Just then, a box with B's name popped up on the screen. Oh, here she comes, Zari exclaimed. But it wasn't B who was on the call. It was a real, live llama. You're not B, Zari said. You're a llama?
Who is on the computer screen?
Zari was amazed. Did B send you to help us with our science project? The llama answered. I guess that means yes in llama, Zari giggled. Lily rolled her eyes. Let's just start our test, she said. So which one do you think will float? The apple or the marble? The llama picked up an apple with its mouth and started eating it. Yeah, I'm sure you're right, llama. The apple will totally float, Zari said. I can't believe I'm agreeing with a llama, Lily said. Zari dropped the apple and the marble into her bucket of water. The marble sank, but the apple floated. Llama, you're so smart, Zari shouted. You might even be a genius.
Zari thinks the llama is.
Thanks, Zari. Lily and Zari heard from the llama's video screen. It was Bee's voice. Sorry about that, said Bee. She turned the camera away from the llama. I was helping out at the farm. The llama must have snuck in here. That's okay, said Lily. The llama is actually kind of a genius. Yeah, could you bring back the llama? Zari asked. We have to test a few more things. That llama totally knows what she's talking about. Bee giggled and turned the camera back to face the llama. By any chance, do you also know math? Zari asked the llama. I could really use some help with my homework.
Zari wants the llama to.
You finished a book! You earned 4 stars! You got a free star!
Read.
Bee was at home reading a book about exciting animal rescues. Then she heard a knock on her door. It was her friend Eddie. Exciting. Bee, I need help, he said. I can't find my snake anywhere. Bee was surprised. Eddie was scared of everything. Why did he have a pet snake? But Bee was very happy to help. Don't worry, I'm great at rescuing snakes, said Bee. She got a long pole, a net, and a small cage. Wow, you're really prepared, said Eddie.
Bee will help Eddie find his.
We have to find your snake fast, said Bee. Snakes like grass, so let's check the park. Okay, Eddie said. Eddie and Bee walked to the park and started looking. What's your snake's name? She asked. I just call it Snake. Oh, said Bee. That wasn't a very exciting name for a pet. What kind of snake is it? It's green, said Eddie. Just then, Miss Lucy walked over. Hi, Eddie. Hey, Bee. What's going on? We're looking for Eddie's snake, said Bee. I used to be a snake trainer. I can help if you lend me that net, Miss Lucy said. Bee gave her the net, and Miss Lucy walked away.
Miss Lucy will try too.
Bee looked at Eddie. What does your snake like to do? It likes to cuddle, said Eddie. Now Bee was really shocked. It was hard to imagine Eddie hugging a snake. Well, anyway, Bee said as she held up the cage, we can leave food in here. Then the snake will slither inside. That's smart, but my snake doesn't slither. Wait, what? Said Bee. How does it move? All snakes move by sliding back and forth. Mine doesn't, said Eddie. Wait, maybe I lost it at school. Bee's eyes opened wide. You brought a snake to school? Suddenly, Miss Lucy returned with the net, and there was a snake inside. Is this your snake? She asked. Eddie's face got very white. Ah! He screamed as he ran away. I guess that's not his snake, said Bee. Thanks anyway, Miss Lucy. No problem. I'll take this snake back to the woods.
Eddie ran away from.
Bee found Eddie outside the school. Eddie, what's wrong? I'm scared of snakes, he answered. Then why do you have a pet snake? Asked Bee. I don't, he said. I have a stuffed toy snake. Oh! Bee finally understood. Wait, I know where it is. Bee took Eddie to a box labeled Lost and Found. She pulled out a green stuffed snake. Snake! Eddie yelled. He hugged Snake and said, Thanks for finding him, Bee. Bee smiled. Aw, you were right. Snake does like to cuddle.
In the end, Bee found Eddie's.
You finished a book! You earned 4 stars!
Eddie was munching popcorn and watching a scary movie on TV. The movie was called Alien Attack. In the movie, aliens were taking people from their homes. First, the aliens hid in people's attics. Then the lights would go out. Then the aliens zapped people into their spaceship. "That's creepy," said Eddie. He shivered. Suddenly, Eddie's TV turned off. "Huh?" said Eddie. He hit the remote. The TV turned back on, but the picture was fuzzy. "Time is up," the TV said in a deep voice. "Leave now." Then the lights went out. Eek! Eddie jumped. Popcorn flew everywhere.
Eddie thinks.
His heart raced as he waited for aliens to come, but nothing happened. "Maybe the power just went out," Eddie said. But the streetlights were still on outside. Then he heard a soft rustling sound above his head. "It's coming from the attic," said Eddie. The sound got louder. Rustle, rustle. Thump. "I'm getting out of here!" Eddie ran to the door and opened it. A dark figure stood in the doorway. "Aliens!" shrieked Eddie. His voice sounded higher than normal. But it was just Fofo, Eddie's best friend. "I smelled popcorn," Fofo said. Eddie hugged Fofo. "I'm so glad you're here."
Eddie feels safer because.
Eddie told Fofo about the movie. Then Eddie described all the strange things that were happening to him. "Do you think aliens are in my attic?" Eddie asked. "Let's find out," said Fofo. Eddie was still scared, but he was glad Fofo was with him. He took a deep breath and grabbed a flashlight. They went upstairs. It was dark and full of shadows. They heard a rustle. "We have to be brave," said Eddie. He shined his flashlight towards the sound. Something scurried away. "Ah!" they shrieked. Fofo jumped into Eddie's arms. Eddie shined the light again. "It's a chipmunk," Eddie laughed. He walked closer. There was a hole in the wall with lots of chewed-up wires inside.
What was making the rustling sounds in the attic?
"The chipmunk chewed these wires," said Eddie. "That's why the lights turned off and the TV was messed up." Fofo pointed to a hole in the roof. "It came in here." Fofo shooed the chipmunk out. "We figured it out, Fofo. Now let's eat some popcorn," said Eddie. Fofo asked, "What about the strange message from the TV? I guess I was just hearing things," said Eddie as they went back downstairs. On the roof, the chipmunk was looking up at the sky. Suddenly, a green light beamed down. It was coming from a spaceship. The chipmunk squeaked,
My mission is complete, Captain. I'm ready to go home.
The green light zapped the chipmunk into the spaceship. Then the spaceship flew away.
The chipmunk was really.
You finished a book! You earned 4 stars!
Look, Duo, we can use this map to find my dad.
Looks like he was headed for the ranger station. Let's go.
Tap the words you hear. Get 10 words to get a star. The game ends when time runs out. Bird bath. 30. First. Bird bath. 30. Firmly. Birthday. 30. Firmly. Birds. 13. First. Time is up. You earned a star.
You got a free star.
Spell at least 5 words to earn a star. Baby bird. T-shirt. Grass skirt. Ice cream swirl. Girl power. First prize. Happy birthday. You earned a star.
Zari looked around her room. Her parents had asked her to clean up. They said her room was a mess, but Zari couldn't understand why. Her hockey stick was by the door. Her favorite sweater was on the floor. Everything was exactly where she wanted it to be. Suddenly, Zari's door squeaked open and Duovac rolled in. Duovac was the most powerful robot vacuum in the world. Duovac must find and remove all messes, Duovac said. Duovac has located the biggest mess. Zari's room is the source of all messiness. Come on, Zari replied. It isn't that bad. Mess located, mess located.
What does Duovac want to do?
Duovac started vacuuming up everything in Zari's room. It even vacuumed up Zari's favorite sweater. No, not my favorite sweater, Zari shouted. Zari grabbed the sweater and pulled it away from Duovac. But she was too late. You ripped my favorite sweater to shreds, she shouted. Bad Duovac. Go away, Duovac. But Duovac didn't listen. Instead, Duovac spun around in circles and repeated, error, error. Then Duovac stopped spinning. Fixing sensors, searching for true source of all messiness, Duovac suddenly turned to Zari. Source of messiness has been located. Source of messiness is Zari. Me? Zari gasped. All of a sudden, Duovac took off. Must remove source of messiness. Must eliminate Zari.
Duovac wants to.
Zari ran. Duovac chased her all around the room and vacuumed up everything in its path. Zari headed for the door. She was about to escape when she tripped over something. It was her hockey stick. Okay, I probably should have cleaned that up, she said. Duovac was still coming. Duovac must eliminate source of messiness. Must eliminate Zari. But Duovac was moving much slower now. It had vacuumed up almost everything in Zari's room. It was so full it looked like it was about to burst. That's when Zari got an idea. Hey, Duovac, she said, eliminate this. Zari spun around and tossed Duovac her favorite blanket.
Zari is trying to.
Duovac couldn't resist. Duovac vacuumed up the blanket, but it was too much. Duovac's motor started to overheat. Its vacuum was completely full. Kaboom! Duovac exploded and blasted dust all over Zari's room. The dust finally cleared, and Zari sighed with relief. It was finally over. Duovac had been defeated. Zari was safe. Her room looked messier than ever. Wow, Zari smiled. This looks even better than before. Duovac's motor gave one final cough. Then it shut down for good. Or so Zari thought.
What happened at the end?
You finished a book! You earned 4 stars!
Bee got into her sleeping bag. She looked around nervously. It was her first time sleeping over at Lily's house. Bee had heard that Lily's house was haunted, but she didn't believe in ghosts. Hey, Lily, are those giant spiders always there? Bee asked as she looked up. Oh, them? Lily replied. They're not always there. Sometimes they crawl into other rooms, too. Other rooms? Oh, okay, Bee said slowly. They were just spiders, and besides, she was brave. Don't worry, they're pretty shy, Lily said. Right, Bee said. She looked up at the spiders again. Good night, Lily. Good night, Bee.
Bee is worried because she saw.
Bee closed her eyes and took a deep breath. Soon she was fast asleep. A short while later, a cold gust of wind blew the window open. Scream! Bee's eyes flew open. Lily? Bee mumbled. She rubbed her eyes, but Lily wasn't there. Bee started to panic. Her heart was beating fast. Lily? She called out again. Her voice was shaky. There was still no answer. Bee got out of her sleeping bag. She began to wander around the dark house looking for Lily. Bee tiptoed through the dining room. She shivered with fear and cold. She was still shaking when she reached the staircase. Lily, where are you? Bee listened closely for an answer, but she heard only the sounds of soft music coming from upstairs. Bee followed the sounds up the dark staircase.
Bee is following.
With each step she took, the stairs creaked louder and louder. Creak, creak. Bee reached the top of the stairs. It was so dark that she couldn't see anything. She got on her knees and crawled down the hallway. Suddenly, something small and fast ran past her. Ah! Bee yelped. Lily? She called out again. There was no answer. Bee could only hear the strange plucking sounds. It sounded like someone was pulling on the strings of a violin. Pluck, pluck, pluck. Don't panic. Be calm, Bee told herself. Bee followed the sounds into Lily's bedroom. She heard the sounds again. Pluck, pluck, pluck. They were coming from inside the closet.
Inside the closet, someone is.
Bee took a deep breath. She counted to 3. 1, 2, 3. She opened the closet doors. Lily? Bee asked. What are you doing in your closet so late at night? I couldn't sleep, Lily said, so we're practicing our instruments. But we didn't want to wake you. We? Bee asked. Yeah, we, Lily replied. Behind her, 3 glowing musicians played their own instruments. Bee shivered. Her eyes opened wide. She looked like she had seen a ghost. Well, 3 of them.
The ghosts were:
You finished a book. You earned 4 stars.
Hi, Miss Lucy, Eddie waved to his neighbor. Hello, Eddie, said Miss Lucy. She was feeding the birds in the park. What's up? Eddie held up a book about spies. I just finished reading this. Now I'm watching everyone in town. I'm on the lookout for spies. Miss Lucy chuckled. Spies in this town? I don't know about that. Eddie smiled. You never know.
Eddie is watching for.
Eddie said goodbye and kept walking. He didn't notice a man walking toward him. The man was carrying a red lunchbox. They bumped into each other. Oops, sorry, said Eddie. The man didn't reply. He walked past Eddie and sat down next to Miss Lucy. Something seemed odd. Maybe the man was a spy. Eddie hid behind a tree to keep a lookout. The man said nothing. Miss Lucy kept feeding the birds. Finally, the man left. A minute later, so did Miss Lucy. Oh, well, Eddie sighed. Then he realized something. Miss Lucy was carrying the red lunchbox. Eddie gasped. The man had secretly passed the lunchbox to Miss Lucy. It's a spy handoff, thought Eddie. I read about those in my book. Is Miss Lucy a spy? Eddie wondered. He quietly followed Miss Lucy.
Why does Eddie think Miss Lucy is a spy?
Suddenly, Eddie heard clicking sounds. 2 large spiders crawled quickly past him. Eddie saw a flash of metal. Robot spiders! He gasped. They were chasing Miss Lucy. Eddie's heart raced. Was Miss Lucy in danger? It was getting harder to follow her. Miss Lucy was walking quickly. She disappeared around corners and slipped down alleys. But the robot spiders were catching up to her. Eddie was falling behind. I have to warn Miss Lucy. Then Eddie remembered a shortcut to their building. He jumped over a fence and ran as fast as he could. He got there just as she arrived.
Eddie is going to tell Miss Lucy about.
Miss Lucy, you're being chased by robot spiders, Eddie cried. They must want the lunchbox. This lunchbox? Said Miss Lucy. Yeah, they followed you after the handoff, said Eddie. A friend dropped it off for me. I left it at work the other day, said Miss Lucy. Oh. Eddie looked embarrassed. What did you say about robot spiders? Eddie blushed. Never mind, he replied, and quickly walked away. Miss Lucy waved goodbye. Then she heard clicking sounds and smiled. The robot spiders had arrived. Miss Lucy pressed a hidden button on the lunchbox. It transformed into a cage. Miss Lucy quickly put the cage over the spiders and trapped them. I'd better get you out of here, she whispered. Some people in this town are on the lookout for spies.
What did Miss Lucy put in the lunchbox?
You finished a book. You earned 4 stars.
No sign of my dad here. I'll try calling him. His phone is ringing outside. Here's Dad's phone, but no Dad in sight.
Just this delicious trail of carrots.
Dad always carries a bag of carrots on hikes. He must have gone this way.
Tap the words you hear. Get 10 words to get a star. The game ends when time runs out. Orange. 4. Border. Forklift. Orange. Forget. Border. Fork. Or. Forget. Border. Forklift. Time is up. You earned a star.
You got a free star.
Spell at least 5 words to earn a star. For you. Short time. Don't forget. Ride a horse. Buttery popcorn. Favorite sport. On the porch. You earned a star.
Eddie, Zari, and Fofo were at the park. They were playing with Eddie's toy airplane. Airplane. Go long! Zari shouted as she threw the airplane. Eddie and Fofo started to run, but the airplane flew over their heads. It flew all the way over the fence at the edge of the park. Uh-oh, Zari said. It went over the fence. Into Mr. Henry's backyard? Fofo asked. Uh-huh, Zari said. This is bad. Mr. Henry is the grumpiest person on the block. We'll never get my airplane back, Eddie worried. Luckily, Zari had a plan. I'll climb that tree by the fence. Then I'll use my fishing pole to pick up the airplane, she explained. Eddie, you look over the fence. I need you to guide me to the airplane.
Zari wants to.
What about me? Fofo asked. You have the most important job, Zari said. I need you to chew bubble gum. Lots of bubble gum. Fofo's mouth was already full of gum. I'm way ahead of you, he said between chews. Zari and Fofo climbed up the tree. They crawled onto a branch hanging over the fence. Fofo handed Zari a huge wad of chewed gum. Zari stuck the ball of gum to the end of the fishing line. Then she turned the reel to lower down the line.
Zari wants the gum to stick too.
How's it looking, Eddie? Zari shouted. Eddie watched the fishing line move closer to the airplane. Plop! The gum stuck to the plane. Looks good, Zari. Pull it up, Eddie shouted. Zari started to reel in the fishing line. Then Fofo and Zari heard a snap. And another snap. Zari and Fofo screamed. The branch beneath them was breaking. Eddie hurried up the tree. He was reaching for his friends when the branch snapped in half. The three of them fell and landed on the other side of the fence.
The kids fell into.
Mr. Henry stormed into the backyard. Hey, what are you doing in my yard? Eddie grabbed his airplane, and they all ran for the fence. We're trapped, Eddie yelped. That's when Zari spotted a hole in the fence. Mr. Henry was closing in. There was no time to lose. The three friends squeezed through the hole and out of the yard. They held their breath and waited. Finally, Mr. Henry turned and walked back to the house. Eddie cheered. We did it. Hey, Zari said. Was that there before? She pointed to a small gate in the fence. It was hidden behind some leaves. You mean we could have used a door? Fofo asked. Mr. Henry stood listening for a minute. Then he smiled and went inside.
What did Zari find at the end of the story?
You finished a book! You earned 3 stars! Get more questions right to earn more stars!
Bee was feeding her pet hamster Hammy when the doorbell rang. Her friend Lily was at the door. It was time for their sleepover. Bee opened the door and jumped back. Lily was holding a doll with a pink dress and hat. It was dirty and missing one eye. Ooh, creepy doll, said Bee. The doll's one eye opened and looked at Bee. Bee felt cold all over. This is Stella, said Lily. I sleep with her every night.
Who is Stella?
Bee and Lily put on pajamas. Lily put pajamas on Stella, too. Then they helped Bee's dad make bread in the kitchen. Suddenly, Bee heard a rustling sound. Bee looked in the bathroom. The toilet paper was unrolled. Toothpaste was squirted all over. Lily's doll was sitting on the toothpaste tube. It was turning to face Bee. Ah! Bee screamed. She pulled Lily over to the bathroom. Look, but Lily's doll was gone. What? Where did she go? Said Bee. Did your doll make this mess? No, she wouldn't do this, Lily said. Are you sure? Bee asked. I'm sure. She's very tidy, Lily insisted.
Bee thinks the doll.
Suddenly, they heard a crash. Bee ran to the kitchen. Pieces of bread were all over the floor. Lily's doll was sitting on the counter. She was surrounded by breadcrumbs. Ah! Bee screamed. She pulled Lily over to the kitchen. Your doll did it again! But the doll was gone. Stella wouldn't do this, Lily said. She only eats flies. Bee's dad came in. Why did you two make this mess? We didn't do it. Lily's doll did, Bee insisted. I'll prove it. Bee grabbed some bread and a box. She set up a trap in the living room. The doll will try to eat the bread, Bee explained. Then the box will fall and trap her. The three of them hid behind the couch. They saw a flash of pink. Thunk! The box came down. We got her, Bee cheered. She looked under the box. Wait, does Stella have fur?
What did Bee catch?
Bee picked up the thing under the box. It wasn't Stella at all. It was her hamster, Hammy. Hammy must have gotten into Stella's clothes, said Lily. I changed Stella into pajamas, remember? She went to the bedroom and brought back her doll. Stella was in your room the whole time. Lily, I'm sorry I blamed your doll, said Bee. I know she's not alive. Oh, she's alive, said Lily. But don't worry, she's nice to my friends. Bee smiled at the doll. The doll winked back.
Who was wearing the doll's dress at the end?
You finished a book! You earned 4 stars!
Lily's tooth was loose. She wiggled it every chance she got. She grinned at the mirror as she pushed the tooth back and forth. I can't wait until this tooth falls out, she thought. I'll poke my tongue through the hole where my tooth used to be. My smile will be so weird. Lily wiggled her tooth all the way to her best friend Zari's house. When Lily arrived, Zari had a surprise. "I lost my tooth last night," said Zari.
What happened to Zari?
"No way," said Lily. "Mine is about to fall out too." "Maybe the tooth fairy will visit you," Zari exclaimed. "Who?" said Lily. "The tooth fairy!" "She's visited everyone in my family," Zari continued. "When you go to bed, you put your tooth under your pillow. Then the fairy collects your tooth and leaves you some money." "Really?" said Lily. Zari showed Lily a small pink envelope. Inside were 2 shiny coins. "Wow," said Lily. She started wiggling her tooth even harder. She wiggled and wiggled her tooth until it fell out. "Hey, look. Now maybe the tooth goblin will bring me some coins," she said. "No, it's the tooth fairy," said Zari. "I've never heard of a tooth goblin." "But I don't want a visit from a fairy," said Lily. "I'd rather get a goblin than a fairy."
Lily wants a visit from.
That night, Lily did everything she could to make sure a goblin visited her. She hung spider webs that glowed in the moonlight. She lit skull-shaped candles in every corner. She brewed a fresh pot of green goblin tea. Lily wrapped her tooth in a mummy bandage and put it under her pillow. Then she called for the goblin. "Come, tooth goblin. Come to my house," she whispered. "I know you must be real." "Of course I'm real," said a deep, scratchy voice. Lily's eyes opened wide. A tiny creature was sipping tea by a candle. It had floppy wings and green fur.
Who came to Lily's house?
"Phew," said Lily. "I was worried you'd be a fairy." "Some people get visits from the tooth fairy, others get visits from me," said the goblin with his gruff, grumpy voice. "Everyone has a different style." He handed Lily a dark envelope that felt like sandpaper. Inside were 2 shiny coins. "Congrats on losing your tooth," the goblin said gruffly. "Enjoy your awesome, weird smile." Then he flew out the window. Lily got back in bed and fell asleep. As she slept, she smiled, and her tongue poked through the hole where her tooth used to be.
What did the tooth goblin bring Lily?
You finished a book! You earned 3 stars! Get more questions right to earn more stars!
Look, Dad's glasses.
And another one of those big footprints.
What if Dad isn't lost at all? What if he was taken by something?
Tap the words you hear. Get 10 words to get a star. The game ends when time runs out. Story. Corner. Snorkel. Sorting. Tour. Story. Corner. Snoring. Sorted. Tornado. Store. Corner. Snore. Time is up. You earned a star.
You got a free star.
Spell at least 5 words to earn a star. High score. More fun. Toy store. Seashore. Let's explore. Hear a snore. Before dinner. You earned a star.
B was hanging out with Fofo at the park. She showed him a box of caramel candy. My dad says this caramel is really sticky. It can glue your mouth shut, B laughed. B tossed a caramel into her mouth. Just then, she saw a cart full of stuffed animals. A woman with curly red hair was pushing it. Look, it's a koala stuffed animal. I love koalas, B exclaimed. She started chewing the sticky caramel. B and Fofo walked up to the cart.
Excuse me, can I see that koala?
B asked the woman. It was getting harder for her to talk. The caramel was making her teeth stick together. The woman whispered, "Are you sure?" "Mm-hmm," B mumbled and nodded her head.
B wants to.
The woman leaped up. Loud game show music started playing. Lights flashed. The stuffed animals moved side to side. It looked like they were dancing. Fofo gasped. "Hey, I know you. You're Wanda Wonders. You know all about animals. You give prizes to anyone who can answer your questions." "That's me. Who wants to play?" Wanda asked. Bee's hand shot up. "Are you ready? Make sure you answer before the timer runs out," Wanda said. "How many hours do koalas sleep each day?" Bee smiled. She knew exactly what the answer was. Bee mumbled.
B can't answer because.
"What was that?" Wanda asked. Bee tried saying something again, but her mouth was glued shut from the sticky caramel. "Time is running out," Wanda warned. Bee needed to get her mouth open. She saw her friend Eddie walking by. He was holding a water bottle. Water will help, Bee thought. She ran over to Eddie and pointed at his bottle. "Sorry, Bee, it's empty," Eddie said. Bee looked around. She saw her friend Zari nearby drawing in her notebook. Bee ran over and pointed to Zari's pen and paper. Zari gave them to Bee. Bee ran back to Wanda and wrote on the paper. She lifted it up to show Wanda.
Why did B want the paper?
"That's correct. Koalas can sleep up to 18 hours a day," Wanda said. "That's almost a whole day. Here's your prize." She handed Bee the stuffed koala. Bee jumped up and down with Fofo. "Bye for now," Wanda said as she pushed her cart away. "You never know where I'll turn up next." "You did it, Bee," Fofo said. Bee smiled wide and her mouth finally opened. "That was the stickiest caramel I've ever had," Bee laughed. "Fofo, do you want to try one?" But Fofo couldn't answer. He already had 5 caramels in his mouth. It was glued shut.
At the end of the story, Fofo.
You finished a book! You earned 3 stars. Get more questions right to earn more stars.
Bee was in a hurry. She was late to science class. Today was not the day to be late to science class. Today, they were making volcanoes. Bee burst into the classroom. Her classmates were already split into groups. They were about to get started. "Oh no," said Bee. "Am I too late?" B's teacher Duo hurried across the room. Duo told B she wasn't late. There was one more student who needed a partner. It was B's friend, Zari.
All right.
Zari cheered. She gave B a high five.
Duo saved the best group for last. Our volcano is going to be epic.
B smiled, but she wasn't so sure. She wanted the volcano to look real, and Zari's ideas were not always realistic.
B and Zari.
B and Zari slid their goggles down. B started by molding some clay into the shape of a volcano. It looked great at first, but then Zari said,
"Don't forget about the giant face."
B stopped. The giant what?
"The giant face," said Zari. "Volcano face wouldn't be volcano face without her giant face."
B sighed. A face isn't very realistic.
"Oh, and instead of shooting out lava, volcano face should shoot gooey green slime," Zari continued.
Look, Zari, these are fun ideas, said B, but they're not realistic. Real volcanoes don't have faces. They erupt and spew lava, not slime.
B wants the volcano too.
"I see," said Zari. "Then our volcano will spew glittery lava." Before B could stop her, Zari poured a mixture into the volcano.
It looked like glittery goo.
A little dish soap, a little vinegar, and lots of glitter.
Zari reached for a spoon.
"Now I'll add a little baking soda to make this volcano erupt."
But enough was enough. B grabbed the spoon from Zari. "No," said B. "Glittery lava is not realistic, but it's fun," Zari replied.
"What's going on here?" Duo asked as he walked over.
Zari tried to pull back the spoon. Instead, she knocked over the box of baking soda. The entire box of baking soda went into the volcano. The volcano started to rumble.
What will happen next?
B turned to Zari. Zari? She said. Yeah? Said Zari. Take cover! B shouted. She and Zari dove under a desk.
Boom!
The entire volcano exploded. Glittery goo went all over the room and all over Duo. Sorry, Duo, said B. She looked around the room. You know what, Zari? That was a pretty good eruption. Nice work.
Thanks, said Zari. Now we have the sparkliest classroom in school. And the coolest teacher.
The volcano.
You finished a book! You earned 3 stars! Get more questions right to earn more stars!
Eddie and his friend Zari were waiting for yoga class to begin. But Eddie was nervous. I've never done yoga before, he worried. What if I embarrass myself? Relax, said Zari. You'll be fine. People mess up all the time. It's totally normal. Then Zari added, You know what would be really embarrassing? What? Eddie asked. Farting in the middle of class, Zari said. That would be awful. That's when a bubbling sound came from Eddie's stomach. Uh-oh, he thought as his stomach gurgled. Eddie suddenly regretted eating a big bean salad for lunch, and he wished he had skipped the broccoli and the bottle of soda. Eddie was feeling certain about one thing. He was feeling very gassy.
Eddie is worried he will.
He thought fast. Maybe there was still time to get to the bathroom before class started. But just then, the yoga teacher burst into the room. "Good afternoon, class," Duo said. "Let's get started." The rest of the class cheered. Zari gave Eddie a thumbs up. Eddie forced a weak smile. Duo called out, "Let's start with chair pose." Everyone crouched like they were sitting in chairs. Eddie followed along. The pose made it very difficult for Eddie to hold his gas in.
"You're doing great, Eddie,"
Zari said.
"Yeah,"
Eddie squeaked. Eddie struggled to keep it together as he moved from pose to pose. He went from deer to dancer to downward dog. Each pose made it more and more difficult for Eddie to hold it in. One wrong move, and he'd blow the roof off the entire class.
Why is yoga hard for Eddie?
Eddie's face lit up. He was almost there. He was going to make it. But as he lifted his leg, his stomach gurgled and popped. This wasn't good. Eddie was about to toot. He was going to cut the cheese. However you want to say it, Eddie was about to fart. Fart! Fart! Everyone stopped and stared. But they weren't looking at Eddie. "Whoops," she said. "Whoops," she said.
Who just farted?
Zari's fart was nothing compared to Eddie's. Eddie's fart was really, really loud. The class forgot all about Zari. They laughed so hard, they all started farting. This pose is known to release gas, Duo said as he farted too. This pose is known to release gas, Duo said as he farted too. Eddie smiled and said, "After all, it's only natural." Eddie smiled and said, "After all, it's only natural."
The whole class farted and...
You finished a book! You earned 3 stars! Get more questions right to earn more stars!
Who just farted?
You earned 1 star!
Dad, you're here!
B, I'm so glad you're okay. I got lost in the woods and tried to find my way back to you. Then I lost my phone and my glasses. I couldn't see anything. These nice people were kind enough to bring me here.
Dad, those aren't people.
Here, take your glasses.
Wow, you're the mysterious creatures I was looking for. You're Yetis.
I think it's time to take that photo, Dad.
Great idea! I have a camera here. Everyone say Duo!